My sister moved her housewarming party to the day of my son's funeral, called his death a minor event, and our parents sided with her. But they forgot that I own the house where she planned the party. So she's in for a surprise. My sister's housewarming nightmare. It feels like a lifetime ago, but it's only been 6 months since we buried my son, Leo. 6 months of navigating a world perpetually muted, where colors seem less vibrant and joy feels like a distant memory. Leo was everything. My wife Sarah and I had tried for years before he came into our lives, a whirlwind of blue eyes and infectious giggles. He was 5 when a drunk driver took him from us on a sunny afternoon walk home from kindergarten. The funeral was a blur. People came, said things, brought casseroles and left. Sarah and I moved through it like ghosts, shells of our former selves. My sister Emily was there, of course. Emily and I have always had a complicated relationship. Sibling rivalry is normal, I guess, but with Emily, it always felt like more. Like she wasn't just competing with me, but actively trying to outshine, outdo, and sometimes just outright undermine me. Even at Leo's funeral, I could sense it. A subtle shift in her posture, a slightly louder tone when she spoke to relatives, a way of positioning herself just a little bit more centrally in family photos. It was infuriating, even then, amidst the raw, gaping wound of grief. But I was too numb to truly care, too lost in the fog of my own despair. Then came the housewarming invitation. About a month ago, Emily and her husband, Mark, bought a new house. Emily has always been obsessed with appearances, with keeping up with the Joneses, even when we were the Joneses. This new house was apparently in a much better neighborhood, closer to good schools, as if that mattered to me anymore, and perfect for entertaining. Cue the housewarming party. The invitation arrived via email, a cheerful, brightly colored digital card that felt jarringly out of place against the backdrop of my life. I almost deleted it unread, but Sarah, ever the pragmatist, suggested we at least RSVP no. Just to be polite, she'd said, her voice flat, devoid of its usual warmth. Politeness felt like a luxury we could no longer afford. I opened the invitation and scanned the details. Date, Saturday, July 20th. Time, 2 p.m. onwards. Location, Emily and Mark's new house. Standard housewarming fare except July 20th. July 20th. My stomach dropped. My hands started to shake. July 20th wasn't just any Saturday. July 20th was Leo's birthday. He would have turned 6. I stared at the invitation, my heart hammering against my ribs. Surely this was a mistake. Surely Emily hadn't. I picked up my phone, my fingers trembling as I dialed her number. Hey, Emily answered brightly, her voice cheerful, almost bubbly. Too cheerful. Emily, I said, my voice tight, did you realize what day your housewarming party is? There was a beat of silence on the other end. Then a slight hesitation and Emily said, yeah, Saturday, July 20th? Emily, I repeated, my voice rising, July 20th is Leo's birthday. Another pause. This time it was longer, heavier. Then Emily sighed, a long, dramatic sigh that grated on my already frayed nerves. Oh right, she said, as if just remembering. Well yeah, but it's just a coincidence. Honestly, we booked the venue weeks ago, before my son died, hung unspoken in the air. Venue? I echoed, bewildered. Emily, it's your house and just a coincidence? Emily, seriously? Of all the Saturdays in July? Look, she interrupted, her tone shifting, hardening. It's just a housewarming. We can't reschedule everything just because of things. Life goes on, Life goes on. The phrase echoed in my head, cold and sharp. Life went on for her. Life went on for everyone else, but mine had stopped the day Leo died. Emily, I said, struggling to keep my voice level, this isn't just things. This is about my son, my dead son. Okay, she said, her voice laced with impatience. I get it, you're still upset. We all are in our own way. But honestly, it's been 6 months. At some point, you have to move on. And frankly, making a big deal out of this, it feels a little dramatic, don't you think? Dramatic. She called my grief, my pain, dramatic. Dramatic? I whispered, my voice cracking. Emily, my son is dead, and you're having a party on his birthday, and you think I'm being dramatic? Well, she said, and I could practically hear her shrug through the phone. It's not like it's a major event. I mean, tragic, yes, awful, absolutely. But things happen, and we can't just stop living, right? I'm sure Leo wouldn't want us to be sad forever. Not a major event. My son's death. Not a major event. For my sister? For Emily, burying my 5-year-old child was a minor event, an inconvenient blip in her perfectly curated life. Rage, cold and pure, flooded through me. I gripped the phone so hard my knuckles turned white. "You know what, Emily?" I said, my voice dangerously low. "You know what? You're right. Life does go on. And you know what else? You can have your party. Have a great time. Celebrate your new house. Celebrate whatever you want to celebrate." "Oh," she said, surprised. "Really? Okay, great. I knew you'd see reason. So you guys will come?" "No, Emily," I said, my voice dripping with ice. "Callousness. We won't be coming. But you go ahead and have fun. Enjoy your day." I hung up the phone, my chest heaving, my hands still shaking. Sarah walked into the room, her eyes questioning. "What was that about?" she asked softly. I showed her the invitation, pointed to the date. I told her about the conversation. As I spoke, the numbness that had been my constant companion for months began to crack, replaced by something hotter, sharper, something that felt almost alive. When I finished, Sarah was silent for a long moment. Then she said, her voice quiet but firm, "What are you going to do?" I looked at her, a slow smile spreading across my face. It wasn't a happy smile. It was something else, something colder, darker, more determined. "I'm going to let her have her party," I said, "just like she planned, but she's in for a surprise." The next few weeks were busy. I didn't tell Emily anything more. I didn't argue, didn't plead, didn't try to reason with her. I just let her plan her minor event, birthday party, funeral celebration, secure in the knowledge that she was in for a very rude awakening. You see, what Emily, in her infinite self-absorption, had conveniently forgotten was the house. Her new house. She and Mark had bought it, yes, but they hadn't bought it outright. They had a mortgage, a hefty one, stretching them to their financial limits. And to secure that mortgage, they had needed a co-signer. Guess who that co-signer was? Me. It wasn't something I'd offered lightly. But Emily had pleaded, Mark had sworn they could handle the payments, and my parents had practically begged me to help my poor sister. They've always had a soft spot for Emily, the baby of the family, the one who needed more support, more understanding, more everything. I've always been the strong one, the independent one, the one who could handle things. And so I'd co-signed. Stupidly, generously, I'd co-signed. And now, Emily was planning her housewarming party, her minor event celebration in a house that technically, legally, in a very real sense, I owned, or at least had a significant stake in. I started making calls to the mortgage company, to my lawyer, let's just say to someone who specializes in event disruption. Let's call him Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones was efficient, discreet, and remarkably good at his job. I explained the situation to Mr. Jones. The party, the date, Emily's insensitivity, and most importantly, my co-signing status. Mr. Jones listened, nodded, and a slow smile spread across his own face. "I think," he said, his voice smooth and calm, "we can arrange a slight change of plans for your sister, mister." The day of the party arrived, July 20th, Leo's birthday. The sky was a cruel, bright blue, the sun beating down with relentless cheerfulness. It felt wrong, somehow, that the world could be so beautiful on such a day that should have been filled with laughter and cake and bouncy castles, but instead was just empty. Sarah and I spent the morning at the cemetery. We brought flowers, blue balloons, and a small battery-operated candle that flickered gently in the breeze. We sat there for hours, talking to Leo, remembering him, crying, holding each other. It was as good a birthday as we could manage for our dead son. Around 1 p.m., I excused myself. "I have something I need to take care of," I told Sarah, kissing her forehead. "I'll be back later." She looked at me, her eyes understanding but also worried. "Be careful, okay?" "I will," I promised, though I wasn't entirely sure I meant it. I drove to Emily's new house. It was in the better neighborhood, just as she'd boasted, all manicured lawns and McMansions. Cars were already starting to arrive, music drifted from the open windows, and the sounds of laughter and chatter filled the air. It was exactly what Emily wanted. Perfect, and perfectly, disgustingly wrong. I parked a block away and walked towards the house. As I got closer, I could see Emily in the front yard, greeting guests, radiant in a new expensive-looking dress, her smile wide and genuine. She looked happy, unburdened, as if nothing was wrong, as if nothing was missing. As if my son had never existed. I took a deep breath, steeling myself. It was time. I pulled out my phone and sent a pre-arranged text message to Mr. Jones. Execute Plan B. A few minutes later, it began. First, the music stopped. Just cut off mid-song, leaving an abrupt, awkward silence hanging in the air. People started to murmur, confused. Emily frowned, looking around, trying to figure out what was happening. Then the sprinklers came on. Not just the regular lawn sprinklers, mind you. These were industrial-grade sprinklers, the kind you see on farms or large parks, strategically placed around the perimeter of Emily's meticulously landscaped yard. They erupted to life with a sudden, forceful burst, spraying jets of water high into the air, drenching everything and everyone in their path. Screams erupted. Guests shrieked and scattered, scrambling for cover. Emily stared, her perfect smile vanishing, replaced by a look of utter disbelief. Her expensive dress was soaked in seconds, her perfectly coiffed hair plastered to her face, her carefully applied makeup running down her cheeks. It was almost beautiful. But it was just the beginning. Next, the catering van pulled up, not to deliver food, but to remove it. Two uniformed men jumped out, brandishing clipboards and official-looking documents. They marched straight to the buffet table, ignoring Emily's increasingly frantic protests, and began loading the food. The expensive canapés, the elaborate cakes, the champagne bottles, back into their van. "What are you doing?" Emily shrieked, her voice rising above the chaos. "Stop! This is my party! You can't do this!" One of the men, calm and professional, handed her a clipboard. "Ma'am, we have instructions to remove all catering equipment and supplies from this property, effective immediately. There appears to be a slight issue with the payment." Payment issue? Oh yes, there was. I had canceled the catering order that morning, and the DJ, and the bouncy castle Emily had, in her infinite tact, decided to rent for the kids at a housewarming party on the day of my son's funeral. All canceled, all non-refundable deposit paid. My treat. As Emily was still arguing with the caterers, another vehicle arrived. This one was a large, unmarked van. The back doors swung open and, well, let's just say Mr. Jones' event disruption team was nothing if not thorough. Men in overalls emerged, carrying furniture covers, large white drop-cloth-style covers. They proceeded to systematically cover every piece of outdoor furniture, tables, chairs, sofas, even the potted plants. Within minutes, Emily's perfectly staged backyard party scene looked like, well, like a furniture store that was preparing for a hurricane. By now, the guests were in full-blown panic mode. Soaked, hungry, confused, and thoroughly embarrassed, they started to flee. Some ran to their cars, others huddled under the meager shelter of the patio awning, still dripping wet and muttering angrily. Emily, her face contorted with rage and humiliation, was left standing in the middle of her ruined party, surrounded by chaos and drenched in sprinkler water. My parents arrived just as the furniture covering crew was finishing up. They took in the scene, the soaked guests, the departing caterers, the shrouded furniture, Emily's tear-streaked face, and turned to me, their expressions a mixture of shock and accusation. "What is going on here?" my father demanded, his voice booming. "Just a slight change of plans, Dad," I said, my voice calm, almost detached. "Seems there's been a minor event. Housewarming parties canceled." "Canceled?" my mother shrieked, rushing to Emily's side, putting a comforting arm around her shoulders. "Emily, honey, what happened?" Emily, sputtering and sobbing, pointed at me. "Did this? He ruined everything. He sabotaged my party." My parents turned back to me, their faces thunderous. "Is this true? How could you do this to your sister? On her special day?" "Special day?" I echoed, raising an eyebrow. "Funny, that's exactly what Emily said about today. Just a special day. Not a major event, right, Emily?" I looked at my sister, my gaze unwavering. Emily flinched, her eyes darting away. My parents, however, were still focused on me, their faces tight with disapproval. "This is unacceptable," my father roared. "You are being completely unreasonable. Emily planned this party. She spent money. She invited all her friends. And you just ruin it? What is wrong with you?" "What's wrong with me?" I repeated, my voice still calm, but now edged with steel. "Dad, Mom, do you have any idea what today is? Do you even remember?" They blinked at me, confused. My mother frowned. "Of course we remember. It's July 20th, Emily's housewarming party." I stared at them, my chest tightening, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. "No, Mom, Dad. It's not just July 20th. It's July 20th. It's Leo's birthday. My son's birthday, the son you seem to have conveniently forgotten about. Silence descended, a heavy, stunned silence. My parents' faces paled. Even Emily stopped sobbing, her eyes widening in dawning realization. In that moment, something shifted. The anger, the rage, the burning need for revenge, it started to dissipate, replaced by something else, something sadder but also lighter. I looked at my parents, at my sister, at the ruined party scene, and I felt not triumphant, not even satisfied, just done. "You know what?" I said, my voice softer now, almost weary. "You guys are right. Life goes on, and I'm done. I'm done trying to explain, done trying to make you understand, done trying to be the strong one, the reasonable one, the one who always handles things." I reached into my pocket and pulled out a set of keys. "Here," I said, handing them to my father. "House keys. For, you know, the house." My father looked at the keys, then back at me, bewildered. "What are you doing?" "I'm leaving, Dad," I said. "I'm leaving this family drama. You guys can have it. Enjoy the house, enjoy each other." I turned to leave, walking away from the ruined party, from my soaked sister, from my stunned parents, from the house that was technically mine, but had never truly felt like home. As I walked, I pulled out my phone again and sent another text to Mr. Jones. Plan C, proceed with foreclosure. It wasn't revenge, not really. It was self-preservation. It was drawing a line. It was finally choosing myself. The sense of lightness grew as I walked further away from the house, from the chaos, from the wreckage of my family. The sun, still shining brightly in the cruel blue sky, suddenly felt a little warmer. The air, still filled with the echoes of screams and recriminations, suddenly smelled a little fresher. "Life goes on," Emily had said, and for the first time in a long, long time, I actually believed her. But it wouldn't be the life she expected. It would be mine, my own life, starting now.